Richie, welcome to Hull FC. How excited are you for a new challenge in your career?
Yeah, I'm over the moon. I can't wait to get started. It's been a bit of a whirlwind 72 hours, but the welcome I've had at the club's been phenomenal, and like I say, I can't wait to get going.
Obviously, you've played for a few clubs throughout your career, but the opportunity to work as a director of rugby at a club the size of Hull FC, what kind of an opportunity is that for you in your career?
Oh, completely. I think it's such a big club, Hull, and I think from speaking with Adam and the excitement that he wants to restore in the fans and in the city around the club, I got it. I understood it, and I could see how I could have an impact and how I can help what's already here, because we're doing an awful lot of good stuff as a club. It's just on the field and that the consistency and performance we need to be better with.
Obviously, when you moved to York, you must have had in the back of your mind that your playing career was coming to a close. Did you already have in your mind the idea that you wanted to move into an off-field role in rugby league?
Yeah, I've given it some thought over the last 5 or 6 years, really. I've always planned that I didn't really want to be a head coach. I didn't see myself going down the coach route, so I always was excited and intrigued by the business side of it and the dynamics of the performance side. So I was always interested in that, and after speaking with Adam and understanding what he needed and what he felt he needed somebody that's just fresh out of the game. And it come in a time when I'd just done my elbow, I was just injured, and I'm thinking maybe it is the time to call a day on the actual playing side of it, and how can I have an impact off the field. And this was a perfect role, I thought, for myself, and one I couldn't wait to start.
What kind of an impact would you like to have, maybe on an immediate basis, really?
I think a bit of calmness. I'm a very calm person. I think that's the way I played. I'm not a person that makes rash decisions. I think just a bit of calmness to the situation. Quite clearly, we're in a tough spot as a club, and we need to be better. Over a period of time, the way we've recruited and the way that we've built a squad, and the way that we've pulled together has probably been a bit fractured. We just need to solidify that and bring everything in together and go productively in the right direction. And I think that's my goal, is to try and drive that and bring everybody together. I feel I can do that, and like I outlined my plan to Adam that I felt would work, and but ultimately together is the only way that we can go forward, and that's what I'm looking forward to do.
I can imagine there's been a lot of brain fog in the last sort of 72 hours since the news has come out. How busy have you been? I imagine you've had a lot of phone calls, a lot of meetings since the announcement was made. Yeah,
it's different. It's different to being a player. It's a completely different role for me. And my phone hasn't stopped. It's been interesting, the people that have contacted me and come out of the woodwork a little bit, but no, it's exciting. I like being in the coalface of it. I like when there's a bit of conjecture and there's a bit of adversity and a bit of doubt. I like that. I like to. I've had a career of that. I've had a career of people thinking I couldn't do a certain role and I couldn't perform in a certain way. So, I like that. That gives me the hunger and the desire to prove people wrong. And I feel that as a club, we've got the ambition and the ability to take that on head on, and that's what I feel like doing.
Just go back to where it all started, really. How did you get approached by the club saying that, we want to bring you in as a director?
Well, it was more of a mutual thing between me and Adam. I expressed a desire of a role as such, and I saw an opportunity. Obviously, we haven't been playing well enough, and there's been a bit of... And Adam felt like he needed a different perspective and he needed a different strategy to get himself out of the situation we were in. So it was more of a mutual conversation between the two of us, and I outlined a plan for him that I could see working. And he believed in it, I believe in it, and hopefully between us we can deliver that. And like I say, the only way it works is if it's a collective. There's no U-boot magical one that you can swing and it makes it turns overnight. It's not going to turn overnight, but I think if we solidify everything and bring everything together, ultimately we'll achieve what we want to achieve.
Can you explain a little bit about what your role is going to consist of here?
Yeah, we've been pretty clear. I said to Adam, if we're going to do this, and it needs to be a full role I need to have full control of the performance side and the rugby side. Now there's some very key people at this club that are very critical to how this club runs, and but effectively I'll have full control of all rugby operations, from all the way from our senior team all the way down to our juniors. So that just gives me the control and the leadership and direction that it helps everyone follow. And but like I said, there's a lot of experienced players and staff members in this organisation that will have far more experience than me in certain roles, and I'll lean on them as much as I can. And like I say, together it will be the way that we do it.
Director of rugby, a bit of a strange role really, because there's not really much that can prepare for a job like that. You can sort of do business degrees and qualifications and whatnot, but it's probably the actual experience of playing the game yourself and understanding the game today that will make a successful director of rugby. So how will you be able to play on your experience from playing rugby league?
Exactly. I mean, like I said, there's a million and one qualifications you can go and get for business degrees and stuff, but I think my 18 years of experience of being in the rugby environment, being in a very high pressured environment at some very big clubs that I run really well, and being interested in, and I've been a student of that really. I've listened to every meeting, and I've listened to every CEO, and really just been a sponge of how they've done it and how they've run it. I mean, Gary Everington has run Leeds successfully for a very, very long period of time, and I've picked his brain on numerous occasions of how they've been able to sustain a business model, and that's ultimately what they've done. They've been self-sufficient for a long period of time and successful as well. So that kind of model of building something that's sustained and successful is the balance that I'm trying to get.
Talk us through the role of identifying a possible candidate for a head coach. Obviously Simon Griggs has taken interim coach duties at the moment, but what's that process like for you at the moment in terms of going out there into the market and looking at who's available and selecting the right possible candidate moving forward?
Well, ultimately I feel that we need to decide how we want to play and what a whole team's going to look like. There's no point in us putting a team on the field and then changing and chopping the coach all the time and not actually identifying what does it mean to be a Hull FC player. Like, what does a Hull FC fullback look like? What does a halfback look like? And to get that fundamental stuff right, ultimately we have to have the right coach. We have to have a guy that can deliver a style of play that the fans and everyone at the club understands. And you can see when you watch a team, I think any Hull fan, and I know this, that it is about winning. It's always about winning. We're in a results business, but ultimately, if they can understand what we're trying to do and they can understand what the team is trying to do on the field, and they're putting effort in to the areas that are non-negotiable, then you can kind of live with a performance. You can kind of live with the result. However, it's when you don't really understand and you're not really a part of what we're trying to do, I find the frustration comes, and you can see it's a team that has been frustrated over the last period of time. And I think if we can get the right guy in place that will give us that identity on the field, it will then help off the field, and it will then bring everybody together, and it'll bring the fans back together, and it'll, like I say, solidify all that process.
And it sort of culminates under the term culture, which we've heard a lot of in the last few years. And that's perhaps something that's fallen by the wayside here at Hull FC in the last few years. Is that one of your main tasks as well, to try and bring that culture back together so that the players and the fans have a wider understanding of what the culture of the club is? Well,
I just think it's lost its connection. I think the club has lost its connection with its fans, and it's lost its connection with its playing group. And we've identified that. Obviously, between Adam, he's seen that, and he needs a person that can bridge that gap. Now, the person that's just finished playing, there's no better position to understand what a player needs. And if I can help change that perspective and change that what's actually going on a day-to-day basis, and almost get rid of the excuses, because I've been hearing a lot of we're not getting this and that over the last period of time. So if we can remove then and it just become about rugby, I think we need to get back to that, and it become about, it's not this person's not playing, it's not we're not getting this, we've not got that. It's all about we're a team, and we're going to deliver what a proud Hull FC performance is.
It is a a strange dynamic in the team at the moment. In that there's a split between experience and youth. Obviously, there's been a couple of departures in the last few weeks. Texoy and New Brown have left the club. That leaves a couple of quota spots available. Are you actively in the market looking for replacement players to come in the place for the rest of the season?
Well, there's no shying away from the fact that we need some more bodies on the field. We need some. Our young players are going to get too exposed if we don't put some experience around them. And there's no shying away from that. Now, in this market, it's not that easy. There's a semi-final coming up for 4 teams that don't want to release any of the players and loan them out to us, and all that kind of stuff going on. So we're not going to just jump in and bring any player in that's not a right fit. I think that's been a fault of the previous regime, and just bringing players in to fill a gap. Ultimately, we need to get the head coach right. Obviously, Simon's going to do a great job for us in that role, but we need to identify exactly who we want and go and get that person. I think that is the critical point for the club at the moment, because then that will then give us the direction we need. There's no point us going and signing a player that the head coach plays a different style to. I think the most fundamental part is getting the head coach and the staffing right around that, so we can build from there. So that's my number one priority. Obviously, we need to perform better on the field. I think we look a frustrated team. I think the amount of yellow cards we're giving away and the amount of that's all coming from frustration. And I think if we can ease that and calm the situation down, we'll put a better performance on the field and a better account of ourselves as players, because I'm pretty sure all those players in that team know that they can perform better. But I want to take that pressure away from them and ultimately just go and do the jobs. And if I can give them that calmness and that reassurance that we are all in this together, then hopefully the performances will get better.
In the club statement that went out on Monday announcing that you joined the club as director of rugby, there was a specific quote from yourself that said you were hearing a lot about the phrase rebuild, that you were quite tired of that phrase. Can you just explain about what you meant there?
Well, I don't think it's a club that needs rebuilding. I think we've got a lot of fundamental parts of this club that are done right, and I believe that yes, our performances on the field haven't been right, and they've been under par, and I feel like we're struggling through a lack of clarity on the way we want to play. I think that's been a massive thing, and understanding what we're trying to do as a team. I think if we can redefine that and understand what we're trying to do, then ultimately we can build something stronger. Now, yes, obviously there's going to have to be a new team put on the field. We've got 12 players off contract. We've got a new head coach to bring in. We're going to obviously have to recruit a fistful of players. So yes, there is an element of a rebuild as such, if you want to say it, but I don't feel we're a club that needs drastic changes. We just all need to pull in the right direction, and I feel that the sense I'm getting from everybody is that there's a lot of frustration around the place because we know we can perform better. And I think if once that is ironed out and there's some clarity on what we're doing as a club and which direction we're going for, I think 2025, I don't want to look to the next season, but it's going to be a very, very exciting time for this club. And it's going to be a very, very positive impact on the club. And I think what my job is to do between now and then is to understand who wants to be here, who sees their future here with Hull, and who's going to add value to us. And if that person is in that role and in that organisation, then we're all going in the right direction. If that person has to come in from outside, then we're obviously going to have to add them. But no, I'm feeling very positive about the direction we're headed in. It's just this next period of time, we need to be performing better and making a better account of ourselves.
It would be easy for people looking in from the outside to say, well, Hull have been a complete write-off this year. He's rubbish. Actually, there's some very good, talented players in that squad. Is it important for you as a director of rugby, as a fresh face, to come in and say, so I'll put your arm around some of the players and give them a bit of a confidence boost? Well,
for me, it's a clean slate. If I'm being totally honest, yes, it's not been good for the first 8 rounds. It's not, and that is factual, and that is where it is. However, like I just said then, there's so much positive going to happen for the club that if you want to be a part of it, it's what you do between now and then that will define if you're here or not. And I think it's a drop the shoulders, it's take a breath moment and go again. And I believe that the boys will buy into that, and I believe that the people that want to be here and want to do the badge justice and to be proud to play for Hull, I think the fans will get that, and I truly believe that they'll buy into what we're trying to do here.
Just give us an idea in terms of where your head's at in terms of the style of play rugby. Are you happy to just leave that down to the coach, whoever that's going to be, or would you like to have a bit of your own personal stamp on it?
Well, I have my philosophies on how I see the game played and how I've played the game and the teams that I've been in which I feel are successful. But ultimately, it will be empowering a head coach and getting the right head coach that I understand his style, because just as every Hull fan will want to do, I want to sit there and watch a game and that I understand and I understand what we're trying to do. I can take losing and I can cop losing. I don't like to lose. However, I want to understand what we're trying to do in a game and what our identity is. And I believe if we get the right head coach, that he would be able to deliver us that. And I think the fans will buy into it.
Just to be clear on that, does Simon Griggs enter your mindset moving forward as future head coach of this team?
Certainly, he's got all the capability. He did a tremendous job with Halifax, and I played with Griggsy at Warrington, and his nature and the way that nothing really phases him. He's got that calmness about him, and he's not afraid to make a big decision. And I think that the boys respect him. Every single leadership player I've asked the question of how's it been, and everyone to the man has said they hold him in a high regard. So ultimately, yeah, that Griggsy is the prime candidate for taking that role. Now, whether we go down a different route and we bring another person in that adds to that, then that'll be time will tell. There may be a guy that wants to bring his own people in with him, but no, certainly Griggsy is a great candidate for it, and he's got all the attributes to be a great head coach.
I'm sure the question on the end of the fans' tongues will be, when will that decision be made? Obviously, Simon's taking charge on an interim basis at the moment. Is this a case of we'll see how Simon gets on for the rest of the year and then make a decision at the end of the year, or is this on a much shorter term basis?
No, I don't. It won't be a long period of time. It'll be a short period of time that we make that decision. Now, whether Simon has it till the end of the season, we've told him that it's his for that period of time. The people that we're talking to may be in other roles, that it's not as easy to do it, and I don't also think it's the right time. I think if we can, the person has to be right and it has to fit. I don't want to jump in and just make a rash decision because there's 5 people available that want the job. As you can imagine, a job coaching Hull FC, there's been a lot of candidates that have come through the front door, and I think it's time to have a bit of calmness and a bit of assess what we actually want to look like as a team and as a club, and who is the right person for that job. And that's my job. As you can imagine, it's not an easy one, but it's one that I can't wait to get into.
Aside from working with the first team, I think you alluded to the fact that you'll drop right down to working with the youth players as well, and there's a fantastic pool of youth players here at the club at the moment. Is that a specific area in which you're really excited to work with, given the success that the youth here has had over the last couple of years?
Oh, 100%. I think our youth department, you can see that the quality of some of our young players coming through who have had a taste of first team experience. It's there in abundance. The issue that we've got is that we're going to expose them too much too early, and by having to turn them out week in, week out, there's a risk of burning them out. And when you're on the end of a 50-0 defeat, it can hurt a player more than benefit them. So we've got to be careful, and we've got to put support around that. And obviously that in the short term will be my task, to bring some few experienced players in there that can add to the team and just give those young players the guidance that they need. Because ultimately we can't put too many in at once, because it's not fair on them, and it's not fair on the longevity of the club.
Just to give you a better idea of where those young players are, will you be present at some academy and reserves fixtures, just to get an idea of the level of standard at that level? Completely,
obviously, because to immerse yourself in the whole club, I need to see the whole club. Like the first 3-4 weeks of my job will be observing. and listening to people and understanding what's actually been going on. Like what are your frustrations? Why are we performing the way we're performing? And there's, like I said earlier, there's no magic wand. There's no overnight fix. It is going to be taken by a lot of the staff that are in place in the roles that they're in are very, very experienced people. Obviously, Pete Riding, Francis Cummins, like massive experience in the game and know how to develop young players. So I think listening to them, taking their feedback and understanding what more do you need from the club? Is there something that we're not doing as a club? Do you need more staff? Do you need more resources sent your way? Like, what is it to give them the best chance to perform? And I think for me, that's ultimately my job, is to understand where we are as a club now and how we grow to the next step.
It's a big old project. Just how determined are you to succeed here?
100%. I've played my 18 years of rugby career, and I've loved every minute of it. And for me to take my next role, I only wanted to do something that was going to excite me. And this has definitely re-energised me. I'm chomping at the bit to get going, and I can see how I can help. And that's my job ultimately. It's not to change, drastically overhaul everything, because I'm not a person to do that. But I believe that my energy and my enthusiasm, as I did as a player, can come across in this role too.
What does short-term success look like to you? What would you like to achieve in the short term?
I want to reconnect the club to itself and ultimately its fans. I think if we can do that and we can put a proud performance on the field and we can actually show what we're trying to do, that to me is success at the moment. Let's be honest, we're in a tough position at this moment in time. We clearly need to bring a couple of players in to boost what we've got in that squad. Well, I believe that the players in that room can put a better account of themselves, and they know that themselves, and they know that by having a fresh start and dropping the shoulders a little bit and taking the frustration away, that they'll give a better account of themselves, and ultimately it'll be a better team performance, and that's what I believe we all want.
Just finally, it's sort of sad to see such a low crowd. What would, at many other clubs seem like a big crowd. It was sad to see such a low crowd at our last home game. This place can barring a derby, this place can get a good 14,000, 15,000 in, and that's not sort of the result of a strong team performing on the field. How good would it be to get back to that again in the next couple of years?
Well, ultimately, yes, but I also understand the frustration. I'm frustrated, and as well the whole club is, and I understand that when you don't understand what direction the club's going in, and you don't get the identity that you're trying to deliver on the field, and you don't get why, and the growing frustration comes from the playing group, from the fans, from everybody. When that starts to build, you can understand why they're not here and why they don't want to come and watch your team lose. However, if we can reconnect with that and we can bring them into this conversation so they understand the vision that we're trying to do and understand the progress we want to make as a club, then I'm hopeful that they buy into it, and I'm hopeful that they support the team, because, like I said at the outset, the only way we solve it is together. The less people that come through the gates, the less the money the club makes. The less money the club makes, the less money can go into the team. And I think that they are so pivotal in our success. It's vital that they are here. But I completely understand their frustration, and I completely understand where they're coming from because of the disconnect. It seems to be on the field, and then disconnect between them. So that's priority number one.
Okay, Richie, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.